Right across, right in Scottsdale? Yeah. Oh, okay. I played golf there. Yeah. Oh. Oh. Michael all the time, yeah. He wasn't a big star.
No, not yet. On a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Chicago, Fox Sports welcomes you to Wrigley Field, second of a three-game weekend series between the Chicago Cubs and the Florida Marlins. The playoff hopeful Marlins, 4 games out in the National League East. Only a game and a half behind the wild card leading Phillies. The Cubs 8.5 back in the wild card race. As we welcome you to Fox Saturday Baseball, I'm Kenny Albert, joined by Tommy Hutton. A terrific pitching matchup today. 17-game winner Dontrelle Willis, who has been brilliant in 3 career starts here at Wrigley, going up against future Hall of Famer Greg Maddux.
I'll tell you what, Kenny, anytime you can watch a guy who's won 315 games go after another win, and for Greg Maddux, he's trying to make it 18 straight years of 15 wins or more, and he goes up against Dontrelle Willis. How about the lefty? 17 wins, and for Dontrelle, he's trying to become the club record holder with 18 wins, blah, blah, blah. We'll do it all again and the whole thing.
Carl Pavano won 18.
Who are you going to show first? Yeah, we'll
figure out who they're going to show first. Then we'll go on.
Go with Maddux first, yeah.
Marlins, Tommy, looking to get back to the postseason. Only a game and a half out of the wild card race, led by their 2 big bats.
You know, it's fun to watch Miguel Cabrera, Carlos Delgado, a couple of big bats in that Marlins lineup. Look at the numbers, 25 home runs, 27 home runs, each with 90 RBIs, and each capable of having big games. So those guys will be ready to face Maddux today.
A victory for the Marlins in the series opener yesterday. They led 7-0, held on 7-5. Fans filing in here at Wrigley. It's the Cubs and the Marlins coming up on Fox. I think we're good. You want to do it again, or you're fine? Yeah, we're fine. So the only thing, Maddux will be first? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks. We'll jump back on in a few minutes.
copyrighted telecast is brought to you. Yeah, that's usually like we have a stack of cards like that. It's unbelievable. Better. Now he's adjusting to the lead. He's already used more money there. I don't give him a belt for a while, but he's doing better. No. I remember seeing that game. That was 65. I had just come back from playing 8-ball. I got some tickets to go to a Dodger game. Went to it. And the other guy, Bob Henley, pitched a one-hitter. Yeah. Against the Cubs in L.A.
Okay. Yes, I do, Larry. Okay, I do.
On a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Chicago, Fox Sports welcomes you to Wrigley Field, the second of a three-game weekend series between the Chicago Cubs and the Florida Marlins. We check out the National League East standings. Marlins 4 games out, only a game and a half behind the wild card leading Phillies. Cubs 8.5 back in the wild card race. As we welcome you to Fox Saturday Baseball, I'm Kenny Albert, joined by Tommy Hutton. A terrific pitching matchup here this afternoon as 17-game winner Dontrelle Willis takes the mound for the Marlins against future Hall of Famer Greg Maddux.
You know what, Kenny? Not too often do you get an opportunity to watch a 315-game winner. We're going to get that chance this afternoon here at Wrigley. For 17 straight years, Greg Maddux has won 15 or more games. He's won 10 this year. He's going to have to go some to do it this year. He's got a tough matchup in Dontrelle Willis. Dontrelle Willis, a 17-game winner, in my opinion, one of the most enjoyable pitchers to watch in the game today. That is, unless you're a left-handed batter. He goes for win number 18. That would be a Marlins club record.
Dontrelle Willis, drafted by the Cubs back in 2002, has been brilliant in his 3 career starts here at Wrigley. Now the Marlins just a game and a half out in the wild card, and they hope their big bats can lead them back to the postseason.
Well, we talked about the pitching. You're going to get to see some boppers as well. How about Carlos Delgado? 8 straight years. He's hit 30 or more home runs, 90 RBIs already, and one of the best young prospects in the game. 3rd in the National League with his batting average, also 90 RBIs. Miguel Cabrera, 3rd baseman Miguel Cabrera.
Well, the Marlins won the series opener yesterday, 7-5. They took a 7-0 lead and then held on. Fans filing in here at Wrigley. It's the Cubs and the Marlins coming up on Fox. One, two.
1-2, 1-2. All right.
One, two. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
We welcome you back to Wrigley Field in Chicago. Kenny Albert with Tommy Hutton, second of a 3-game weekend series between the Florida Marlins, who will send Dontrell Willis to the mound this afternoon, and the Chicago Cubs. Marlins, 8 games over 500, 68 and 60. Cubs, 6 games under the 500 mark at 61 and 67. Marlins won yesterday's game by a 7-5 score. Their second consecutive victory. They won 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. Greg Maddux looking for career victory number 316. He's won 19 games against the Marlins, more than any other pitcher. And for the Marlins this afternoon, their batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Juan Pierre with a 6-game hitting streak will lead off and play center field, followed by the left fielder Jeff Conine. As Tommy mentioned, Miguel Cabrera again starting at third base today and bats third. Carlos Delgado in the cleanup spot. Juan Encarnacion in right field. Damian Easley, the second baseman. Shortstop Alex Gonzalez hits 7th. Catcher Matt Trainer 8th. And the pitcher Dontrell Willis 9th. Jack McKeon does not like to change the lineup after a victory, and the Marlins won yesterday's game. Tough test today against the 39-year-old right-hander.
Well, no question about that. You see the record of Maddux, 10-10 this year. You mentioned 19 career wins against the Marlins and an ERA against the Marlins in his career of 2.75. It's been an off-again, on-again year for Maddux. As you check out the scouting report, he needs to throw quality strikes. He doesn't quite have that 88, 90 mile an hour fastball. It's more in the mid-80s right now. He will not give in. He's going to throw strikes, and sometimes that hurts him. He's allowed 24 home runs this year. Will he make it to 15 wins? Well, he has a few more starts. He's at 10 right now. If he does, that would give him 18 straight years of 15 or more wins.
10-10 record this year, 1-1 against the Marlins. Nomar Garcia-Parra made his first major league start at third base yesterday, filling in for the injured Aramis Ramirez, and that is where Nomar will play again this afternoon. And he's in on the grass, creeping in as Juan Pierre leads off for the Marlins and takes strike one.
As a batter against Greg Maddux, Bill Robinson, the Marlins hitting instructor, wants his hitters to be aggressive to try to make Maddux get his pitches up a little bit.
High 1-1 on Pierre, who's a .348 career hitter against Greg Maddux. 8 hits in 23 at bats. Look at Bill Robinson in the Marlins dugout. The 1-1 for Maddux. Pierre squared to bunt and took inside 2-1.
And with Nomar Garciaparra playing third base, no mystery that the Marlins will try to lay down a few bunts his way.
As was the case yesterday with Juan Pierre at the plate. Pierre swinging away, fouls it off. 2-2.
I think it's amazing that Garciaparra is the 103rd third baseman for the Cubs. There's a look at the play yesterday. Nobody at second base because everybody was doing their job. Going over to third, the shortstop. Moving to first base, the second baseman. So there was no play at second.
Pierre hit by the pitch, so he heads down to first. Leadoff man on for the Florida Marlins.
Not too often are you going to see Greg Maddux miss that badly with a pitch. A guy who has had pinpoint control for 19 years.
So Pierre on at first. He has 44 steals. 3 in the last 2 games after going 12 games without the stolen base.
And it's another thing runners have done over Maddox's career.
Pitch out. Barrett fires down to first and Pierre gets back in.
You know what, Kenny, it's amazing. Greg Maddux has such tremendous credentials, but one of the things that he's not done well in his career is hold runners. Clearly, Juan Pierre trying to get a nice jump.
Jeff Conine at the plate. He had 3 hits yesterday, scored 3 runs, drove in a pair. Pierre goes. The throw from Barrett is not in time, and Juan Pierre ties the Mets' Jose Reyes for the National League lead with his 45th stolen base.
About halfway through the season, Jack McKeon talked to Juan Pierre, wanted him to be more aggressive and not worried about getting picked off. Get a big jump, be aggressive. Ever since he's done that, he's been more successful stealing bases.
Pierre now in scoring position. And Conine looks to bunt him over to third. Maddux, the first successful sacrifice by Jeff Conine.
Well, the 39-year-old number 2 hitter in the Marlins lineup, Jeff Conine, drops down a perfect bunt. Hey, when you've won 14 Gold Gloves, you're not going to mishandle that.
Conine's first sacrifice bunt this season. So Pierre now on third with 1 out. Here are the Marlins first as Miguel Cabrera steps in. Cabrera yesterday 2 hits, drove in 2 runs. And he sends this one into right. Jeremy Burnitz coming on, makes the catch. Pierre getting home, and the throw is off the mark. Sacrifice fly, RBI number 91 for Cabrera. The Marlins take a 1-0 lead.
Something the Marlins are doing a little bit better lately, and that's some good ABC baseball, as you like to call it. Moving Pierre over to third. The ball deep enough. Jeremy Burnitz with a strong throwing arm. I think a very underrated outfielder. Throw was offline, but he had to deal with the speed of Juan Pierre.
So Pierre hit by a pitch from Greg Maddux, stole second, moved to third on a sacrifice bunt, scores on a sacrifice fly as Carlos Delgado fouls the first pitch from Maddux back to the screen. 0-1. Jack McKeon's Marlins just a game and a half behind the Phillies in the National League wild card race. Now tied with the Mets, who won their 5th consecutive game last night in San Francisco. every team in the National League East, Tommy, at least 6 games over 500.
Oh, should they be in the National League West?
Cubs employing the shift, and Delgado is thrown out by the second baseman Walker, playing in shallow right. Marlins with the early lead here in Chicago. Okay, so far? Yeah, the West, let's see. Yep, everybody's under.
Padres are a game under, but even more amazingly have a 6.5 game lead.
This is a good note here. This is the latest ever in the National League that an entire division above 500.
Wow, that is.
This is since divisional play.
Wow.
American League West, 1991, September 24th. They're all above.
Wow. We have to use Evan tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll give this to you when we're done with it.
Okay.
Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by DirecTV, Rethink TV, and by Chevy. Chevy and baseball, they just go together. An American Revolution. 77-degree afternoon in Chicago as Dontrelle Willis takes the mound for the Florida Marlins in 3 career starts here at Wrigley Field. Willis has allowed only 2 earned runs in 19 1/3 innings. Cubs batting order brought to you by Taco Bell. Jerry Hairston Jr. leads off, followed by the second baseman Todd Walker. Derek Lee bats third. Michael Barrett in the cleanup spot. Then third baseman Nomar Garciaparra. Jeremy Burnett's on fire over the last 7 games. He will hit 6th. Neifi Perez 7th. Corey Patterson 8th. And Greg Maddux 9th against the 23-year-old left-hander Dontrelle Willis.
Going for win number 18, that would tie the Marlins club record.
Ball 1 to Hairston. Carl Pavano won 18 games for Florida last season. Kevin Brown and Alex Fernandez, the other Marlins who have won 17.
Keeps the rhythm going, keeps that 2-seamer down, and Dontrelle brings energy when he takes the mound. Everybody plays well behind him. The rhythm, sometimes he tends to get ahead of himself a little too fast.
2-1 on Jerry Hairston Jr., who was a big part of the Cubs' comeback yesterday afternoon after they fell behind 7-0. Broken back grounder to the shortstop Gonzalez. 1 out. The Marlins ranked 5th defensively in the National League. As we check out how they line up in the field, Gonzalez has committed 15 errors, most by a National League shortstop. Delgado at first, Easley at second, Cabrera at third again today, replacing Mike Lowell. Conine in left, Pierre in center, Encarnacion in right, Matt Trainer behind the plate.
Interesting, Kenny, what Dusty Baker has done with his lineup. He has the veteran Todd Walker, a left-handed hitter who did not play in that game yesterday against the rookie left-hander Jason Vargas. But Walker 2 for 3 in his career against Dontrelle Willis.
And Walker swinging at the first pitch, fouls it off. 0-1. Cubs made a trade earlier today. They sent outfielder Matt Lawton to the Yankees in exchange for a minor league pitcher, 21-year-old Justin Berg. Walker makes it 3 for 4 lifetime against Dontrelle Willis with a single into right.
Well, it's one of the things that Dusty has done. He's tried to tweak that lineup. So he knows that Todd Walker is a pure offensive player. He can swing the bat, there's no question about it. And picks up his 3rd career hit against Dontrell Willis.
So now the former Marlin Derek Lee steps in. Had a tough afternoon yesterday, 0 for 4, couple of strikeouts. 2nd in the National League, 37 home runs. Trailing only Andrew Jones, who's hit 40. 91 runs batted in. Shallow right. Encarnacion, long run. Makes the catch, 2 away. Getting back to that deal, Matt Lawton did not even last a month here in Chicago. He was acquired by the Cubs July 31st from Pittsburgh, and he is now a New York Yankee in exchange for minor league pitcher Justin Bird. Look at Andy McPhail, Cubs team president. And the Cubs recalled 33-year-old Scott McLean from AAA Iowa, who last played in the major leagues in 1998 with the Devil Rays.
You know, the Cubs kind of shuffled some outfielders around. If you blinked, you missed Jody Garrett.
Yes.
Being with Chicago.
Michael Barrett in the cleanup spot for the 3rd time this season. Gonzalez gets the force at second, and that will do it for the Cubs in the 1st. Marlins with the early lead in Chicago.
What a day.
Perfect.
Where do you go tonight? You fly back home?
I'm flying back home, yeah. And actually, my wife and my daughters went with my wife's whole family, her parents, brothers, sisters, up to Vermont. So I'm driving up there tomorrow for about 5 days.
I bet that.
Yeah. I talked to her last night and this morning. She said it's a great place. So it's my father-in-law's 65th birthday. So everybody's up there. So I'll have about 4.5 hours in the car tomorrow. You must have loved playing here, I assume, right?
Came in,
yeah.
Yeah, you enjoyed it. Yeah, I always enjoyed it. All day games back then.
Juan Encarnacion leading off for the Marlins here in the 2nd against Greg Maddux, and the first pitch is sent into left field for the Marlins. First hit of the afternoon.
One of the things that the Marlins are going to try to do against Maddux, one of the other scouting reports, is to be aggressive early in the count. Sometimes that first pitch that you see from Maddux is going to be the best one you see.
So Encarnacion, playing in his 1,000th major league game, is on with a leadoff single here in the 2nd inning as Damian Easley steps in. Easley 3 for 5 lifetime against Maddux. We mentioned after a victory, Jack McKeon seldom changes the lineup. So Easley again starting at 2nd for Luis Castillo. Matt Trainer behind the plate for Paul LaDuca. And Cabrera remaining at 3rd base for Mike Lowell.
two guys that you normally see, Luis Castillo, Gold Glove second baseman, and Mike Lowell, are able to play, but Jack McKeon goes with a winner. LaDuca banged up a little bit with a sore hamstring.
The 0-1 to Easley. Walker, Perez, Lee, double play. Cubs turn the 4-6-3.
See what kind of a grip Greg Maddux has there. Went with his two-seamer. Look at that ball move. Came in, went down. He got the ground ball. He had two pitchers today in Dontrelle Willis and Greg Maddux. They use that two-seamer with the best of them and will get these kinds of double plays.
So with 2 outs, here's Alex Gonzalez swinging at the first pitch, fouls it back. 0-1. Gonzalez 0 for 4 in yesterday's game, batting .266.
I think a guy who's really helped out the Cubs this year, we saw him turning that double play, Nefi Perez. When Nomar Garcia-Parra went down early in the year, Perez took over at short and really filled in well. And now Nomar's over at third.
You mentioned back in the first inning, Nomar, the 103rd different third baseman to start for the Cubs since the departure of Ron Santo.
And how about Ron Santo? Started over 2,100 games at third base as a Cub.
The 0-2 to Gonzalez. To the right side, Walker. Over to first. A 7-pitch second for Greg Maddux. Okay.
Sarge. Good, man. How you doing? Hey, can you hand me a chair, please? We got one in the back. Later on during the game, okay? If we're winning big or something. All right. Well, I might. I should, shouldn't I? They keep trying to pay me. I've been trying to retire for a couple years. They keep trying to pay me.
Okay, good. Fox Saturday Baseball, sponsored by Budweiser Select, brewed for a crisp taste that finishes clean. Be selective. Back at Wrigley, bottom of the second inning. Third baseman Nomar Garcia-Parra leading off for the Cubs against Dontrelle Willis. Garcia-Parra, Burnitz, and Perez here in the second inning. Nomar 0 for 4 in yesterday's game, batting just .238 in 29 games this season. It's been a frustrating stint as a Chicago Cub for Nomar.
Playing just his 30th game for the Cubs this year.
Nomar sends this one into center field for a base hit. So the Cubs have the leadoff man on here in the second. Marlins closer Todd Jones is wearing a microphone for us today. Let's listen in to his journey from the dugout down to the Marlins bullpen.
Sarge. Good, man. How you doing? Hey, can you hand me a chair, please? We got one in the back. Later on during the game, okay? If we're winning big or something. All right. Well, I might. I shouldn't I? They keep trying to pay me. I've been trying to retire for a couple years. They keep trying to pay me.
Well, some of the Cubs fans suggesting to Todd that he retire.
Well, he'll be paid well after this year. 30 saves this year for a guy who started the year as the setup man for the Marlins.
20 consecutive saves for Todd Jones. Burnett's to the second baseman easily. And the Marlins get the force at second. Todd Jones, one of 6 candidates for the National League Comeback Player of the Year award.
Certainly a bright spot for the Marlins. Guillermo Mota started the year as the closer. Had some injuries. Todd Jones took over, has never looked back.
Picked up the save yesterday. And we thank Todd for wearing the microphone for us today. 1 out. Here's Neifi Perez. Switch hitter batting right-handed against the lefty Dontrell Willis. Burnett's now on first with 1 out. Ball 1 to Perez.
Kenny, I think when you wear that microphone, the first thing you do when you get down to the bullpen is say, "Hey guys, I'm mic'd."
Absolutely. And then everybody looks to stay away.
Yeah, I know I mentioned with Perez early in the year when Nomar had that severe growing injury, and the Cubs at the time actually talked about going out and maybe finding a shortstop. Neifi took over and filled in beautifully.
He won a Gold Glove 5 years ago, playing for his 4th team the last 5 years. Burnett's goes. Throw down to second is in time.
One of those plays that there was almost a mix-up on both sides. It looked like a hit and run. It wasn't a pitch out, but then a little late in covering was Damian Easley. He got there just in time, and Matt Traynor made a perfect throw, but it looked like a botched up hit and run. The pitch was away. I don't know if Neifi Perez could have even gotten to it.
Willis missing away, now 3-1. Bases empty, 2 outs. Corey Patterson waiting on deck should Perez reach. Inside off the glove of Traynor, ball 4, so Perez heads down to first. First walk issued by Willis. It's time now for the Burger King Have It Your Way home field advantage. Wrigley, the only ballpark where we'll find ivy along the outfield wall, which allows the Cubs to have it their way. Tommy, I know you enjoyed playing here at Wrigley as a visiting player.
Always did, and certainly as a hitter, one of the first things, well, pitchers do too, one of the first things you did when you got off the team bus was look at the flags. Which way is the wind blowing? Today, pretty calm for Wrigley Field.
Perez gets back in. 2 outs. Bottom of the second inning. Corey Patterson at the plate. Patterson has struggled this year. Was sent down to AAA. Spent 24 games with the Iowa Cubs. Called back up just over 2 weeks ago.
No sooner did we talk about it, all of a sudden things picked up.
Second baseman easily over to make the catch, so the Cubs are retired. You're watching Fox Sports. We'll return after this local break.
The San Diego Padres, the Houston Astros.
I've been trying to retire for a couple years. They keep trying to pay me. Hey, where's Mo at? Maybe. What's up, Roger Dodger? How are you? Is it okay if I sit here? All right. Come here. Come here. My buddy.
Webby. Greg Maddux getting set to work here in the third inning, facing Marlins catcher Matt Trainer, who takes a called strike, 0-1. Trainer, Willis, and Juan Pierre for the Marlins. Here in the third, Marlins scored their run without the benefit of a hit back in the first inning. 0-2.
You know, with Maddux this year against the Marlins, it's been kind of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He had a 15-5 loss. Didn't even last 4 innings, gave up 8 hits and 7 runs. His next time against the Marlins, he went 8 shutout innings, gave up just 4 hits.
1-2 now on Trainer. And it's been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde season for Maddux. Started the year 7-4, but over his last 11 starts has gone just 3-6. Two and 2. 315 career wins among active pitchers. He trails only Roger Clemens.
And you know, you wonder if guys like Glavine, Randy Johnson will get to that 300 mark. We may be seeing one of a dying breed a little bit, a 300 game winner. Maddux loves to work that fastball, get it to move back on the outside corner. It looks like he did that, but not according to Jeff Kellogg.
In the air, left center. Hairston and Patterson converging, and the catch is made by the center fielder Patterson for the first out. And Tom Glavine will go for number 273 later today for the New York Mets out in San Francisco. Greg Maddux won his 300th game last August in San Francisco.
Well, if you're looking at big winners, Greg Maddux since '91 has won the most games, 255, and Tom Glavine's number 2.
Maddux 16th on the all-time list. Here's Dontrelle Willis, among the best hitting pitchers in the National League. Batting .235 this year, 7 RBIs. Only Jason Marquis has more runs batted in among National League pitchers than Dontrelle Willis.
You'll see pitchers pitch Dontrelle Willis as if he were a regular hitter. They'll change speeds. Maddux did on that last pitch.
look at what Willis has done at the plate this season.
Well, it's all in the timing. He gets that leg kick. He drives the ball well the other way. A big sac fly in his last start.
I mean, all you need to know is that he pinch hit 8 times last season. And Willis bounces back to Maddox for the second out.
But got some off-speed stuff from Maddox. Change up he hit off the end of the bat there. Yeah, you don't get all those fastballs like a lot of pitchers. There's the change up. Dontrelle Willis out in front. A little squibber back to the mound.
So a short break back in the dugout as Juan Pierre steps in with 2 outs. Pierre has scored the game's only run back in the first inning. He was hit by a pitch, stole second, his 45th steal. Was sacrificed over to third by Conine, and then scored on a sacrifice fly off the bat of Cabrera. Garciaparra in on the edge of the grass. Pierre falls behind 0-2. We check out our Pepsi Power Hitters home run leaderboard. Andrew Jones with 40. A-Rod leading the American League with 38. Derek Lee of the Cubs has hit 37. Log out to foxsports.com. Keyword Pepsi for your chance to win the Pepsi Complete Ultimate Sports Fan Experience and play the Pepsi Power Hitters Home Run Derby. Last week's Home Run Derby winner was Eric Fisher. A 1-2 to Pierre, low and inside, 2-2.
Would you see the one Adam Dunn hit last night at PNC? Wow.
Pierre lifts this one into shallow right. Coming on is Burnitz. He makes the catch, and the Marlins are retired in order in the third.
Okay, guys, here's the deal. I'm wearing a microphone today, so if you don't want to talk to me, I totally understand. But it's right there, and I got to get my seat. I got to get a. I do? I got so nervous when they put a microphone on me. It was on backwards, wasn't it?
Bottom of the third here at Wrigley. Greg Maddux leading off for the Cubs against Dontrelle Willis, who takes a called strike. Maddux with 12 hits this year, .214 batting average, and hit his 5th career home run back in June against the Boston Red Sox.
Always has been a guy that's worked on his hitting, makes contact. He'll put the ball in play.
Maddox, then Hairston and Walker for the Cubs. Here in the third inning, Marlins leading 1-0.
When you talk about the rhythm of Dontrelle Willis, it all starts when he gets ready, looks in, and gets the sign, gets the target, and then begins the windup. Sometimes he'll do all of that at the same time and gets ahead of himself. But two pitchers today, Kenny, who like to work fast. There he has the sign, got the target. Now he begins the windup.
Maddox down on strikes. First strikeout for Willis as we listen in once again to Marlins closer Todd Jones.
Okay, guys, here's the deal. I'm wearing a microphone today, so if you don't want to talk to me, I totally understand. But it's right there, and I got to get my seat. I got to get I do? I got so nervous when they put a microphone on me. It was on backwards, wasn't it?
Jerry Hairston at the plate for the Cubs. And Tommy Todd read your mind. He did warn his fellow relief pitchers that he is wearing the Fox microphone this afternoon.
You got to let him know he was less nervous when he came into the game yesterday and struck out Derek Lee in the 8th inning.
Little roller. Willis quickly off the mound, barehands it, and the toss to Delgado for the second out. Bank of America is proud to support Little League Baseball's urban initiative, helping increase youth participation in baseball throughout our nation's cities. As the official bank of Major League Baseball, Bank of America will donate $1,000 each week on behalf of the American League and National League Players of the Week. And this week's honorees: Lou Ford of the Twins, Felipe Lopez of the Reds. So congratulations to Lou and Felipe. Here's Todd Walker, who singled back in the first inning. 3 for 4 lifetime against Willis. Getting back to Todd Jones, he's multi-talented. Writes a column every week for the Sporting News. Gets it in on deadline.
Gets it in on deadline. See him banging away on the computer, getting out his article. He's getting some information right there from Mike Lowell.
I remember when Todd pitched for the Cincinnati Reds, he was actually issued a press credential, and my question at the time was, could he go into the visitors' clubhouse after the game and conduct interviews? He had an actual Cincinnati Reds media credential as an active player.
Now I wonder if he's told Mike Lowell that he's mic'd.
Or that he's talking to him as a media member right now, not as a teammate.
Not as a teammate. Yeah, you have to cross that line every once in a while.
I think he's showing Mike the mic. Mike, this is a mic. Payoff pitch hits Walker. So Todd Walker will head down to first base.
Somehow missing that badly on a 3-2 pitch. Trying to work Walker in, though. You see the target of Matt Trainer. That fastball just took off. Walker had nowhere to go on that one.
First time Walker has been hit by a pitch this year.
But the good news for the Cubs, it brings Derek Lee to the plate.
Lee fly to right his first time up. We already had 2 hit batsmen in this game, and just prior to coming on the air this afternoon, our statistician Marty Aronoff pointed out to Tommy that Tommy was never hit by a pitch during his major league career.
Well, it just goes to show you, Kenny, in 11 years how feared a hitter I was. I also had quick feet.
Not once, huh? The anti-Ron Hunt, or Frank Robinson, or Don Baylor.
Craig Biggio, Jason Kendall.
Biggio now the all-time record holder. Set the mark earlier this season. 2-1 on Lee. Walker the runner on first with 2 outs. Outside 3-1.
We talked about the treat today with these 2 pitchers going. Another thing they both do so well is field their positions. We talked about all the Gold Gloves of Maddox, Dontrell Willis, an excellent fielder.
Maddox the all-time leader in putouts by a pitcher. And as you mentioned, the 14 Gold Gloves. Payoff pitch to Lee. And he fouls another one off.
Well, just watch some of the athletic plays that Greg Maddux has made. Gloving it, flipping it out of the glove. Good range. Gets himself set like an infielder.
Lee down on strikes. So that will do it for the Cubs. In the third, Marlins still leading by a run. So I guess we get Jack after this half inning.
Oh, okay.
Any thoughts on what we should talk about with him?
I'm going to ask him about the first inning run because it is something they haven't done real well, a little better lately, but he likes that. So I'll ask him about that.
Okay. Yes. Thanks. Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Bank of America, Higher Standards. By Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. And by the makers of Pepsi Complete, just one, and heartburn's done. Fourth inning here at Wrigley Field. Kenny Albert with Tommy Hutton. Marlins 1 and the Cubs nothing. Jeff Conine leading off, and on the first pitch from Maddox, he grounds out to the shortstop, Davey Perez. Well, Tommy, America's beer salutes America's pastime. This week in Major League Baseball history, August 22nd, 1989, Nolan Ryan struck out Rickey Henderson for career strikeout number 5,000 in the illustrious career of Nolan Ryan. America's beer salutes America's pastime. Budweiser, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball. Strike one to Cabrera. For more MLB info, log on to foxsports.com on MSN. Keyword Budweiser.
Boy, a couple of treats for me concerning Nolan Ryan. I actually did get a couple of hits off him, believe it or not, but also had the privilege of calling his 7th and final no-hitter.
Cabrera, left center. Madison able to chase it down. Tommy, ironically, Nolan Ryan was the starting pitcher. As we take one more look at the nice defensive play by Patterson. Nolan Ryan was the starting pitcher for Houston back on September 2nd, 1986. Here at Wrigley. In that game, Greg Maddux made his major league debut. Entered the game as a pinch runner in the 17th inning. He pinch ran for Jody Davis, pitched the 18th, and allowed a game-winning home run to Billy Hatcher of the Astros. Nolan Ryan and Jamie Moyer were the starting pitchers. But Maddux made his major league debut as a pinch runner.
Amazing. Kid, go out and run. You're young, you have good legs. Look at the shift with Carlos Delgado. Most teams have employed this shift all year, some a little more drastic. The Cubs have Walker, their second baseman. Oh, he's a good 20 feet into right field. He's going to need a cutoff man to make his throw to first.
Well, back in the first inning, Delgado grounded out to Walker, who was playing in shallow right. Delgado, 13 games since coming off the disabled list. He's picked up right where he left off. 4 home runs, 13 runs batted in those 13 games. And he sends this one into center. Again, it's Patterson. A 1-2-3 fourth. Only 7 pitches needed in the inning by Maddux. Hi, Jack. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thanks. It's Kenny Albert and Tommy Hutton.
Hey, Jack.
Hi, guys.
Here we go. Ready, Larry? Jack, the Marlins only a game and a half out on the wild card, 4 out of the division. How confident are you that you will be managing in October?
Well, I'm very confident that these guys will continue to play well, and we're just really getting started. We had a terrible first half. We didn't get much offense going, but now we seem to have our offense going. Our pitching's been splendid, so the guys really believe that they got a chance to win this thing. So we're going to be very optimistic and give them a battle all the way.
Jack, tell us about the run in the first inning. I know it's one of those runs you enjoy seeing manufactured.
Yeah, get them over and get them in, and basically, Pierre stealing second base, Conine being unselfish, getting the guy over, and then of course we got the sacrifice fly. So that's here we are. We got a run without a hit. So this is the way we have to play, and our bats get going later on in the game. We'll pick up some additional runs.
Thank you, Jack.
Gotcha.
Fox Saturday Baseball, sponsored by Chevy. Chevy and baseball, they just go together. An American Revolution. First pitch of the bottom of the 4th inning, and Michael Barrett grounds out to the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez. Moments ago, Tommy and I chatted with Marlins manager Jack McKeon. Jack, the Marlins only a game and a half out on the wild card, 4 out of the division. How confident are you that you will be managing in October?
Well, I'm very confident that these guys will continue to play well, and we're just really getting started. We had a terrible first half. We didn't get much offense going, but now we seem to have our offense going. Our pitching's been splendid, so the guys really believe that they got a chance to win this thing. So we're going to be very optimistic and give them a battle all the way.
Jack, tell us about the run in the first inning. I know it's one of those runs you enjoy seeing manufactured.
Yeah, get them over and get them in, and basically, Pierre stealing second base, Conine being unselfish, getting the guy over, and then of course we got the sacrifice fly. So that's here we are. We got a run without a hit. So this is the way we have to play, and our bats get going later on in the game. We'll pick up some additional runs.
Thank you, Jack.
Gotcha.
Well, Jack McKeon just 4 wins shy of 1,000 during his managerial career. 7th among active managers. And while you were listening to Jack, Omar Garciaparra picked up his second base hit in today's game.
Garciaparra has done what right-handed hitters need to do against a guy like Dontrelle Willis, and that is try to take him up the middle. Both his base hits right up the middle.
3-ball, no strike count on Burnitz, who reached on a fielder's choice his first time up. Now 3-1. Burnitz is one of only 3 left-handed hitters who have tagged Willis for a home run during Dontrelle's major league career. He's allowed only 3 home runs for left-handers. They've been hit by Brian Schneider in 2003, Sean Green last season, and Burnitz this season back on July 8th.
And Jeremy Burnitz has that classic home run swing.
Burnitz into left center. Up against the ivy. Garciaparra waved home. The throw is well off the mark. Burnitz in at third. The Cubs have tied the game at 1.
Well, by falling behind, Dontrelle Willis had to stay with the fastball, and he got that fastball up. Jeremy Burnitz just powers that ball into left center. Garciaparra has the play in front of him, takes the turn, then picks up Chris Spire, his third base coach. Spire waves him all the way. The relay throw was not a good one, and that allowed Burnitz to go from second to third.
So a double and a run batted in for Burnitz. Moved to third on the throw. His 67th RBI. Neifi Perez at the plate, walked his first time up. He's 0 for 6 lifetime against Dontrelle Willis. That run, only the third Willis has allowed here at Wrigley in his career in 23 2/3 innings. Burnitz takes his lead off third. Pitch low and away. 1-2 on Neifi Perez.
And here we are in the 4th inning, and Jack McKeon has his infield in this situation. Some managers would play back.
Perez went around. That is strikeout number 3 for Willis.
But I'm sure the thinking in Jack McKeon, there's a good off-speed pitch to get Perez, who chases a lot when he has 2 strikes on him. The thinking in Jack McKeon, Perez up there, infield was in. Now, of course, with 2 out, he can move everybody back.
Corey Patterson popped out to the second baseman Eastley his first time up. Takes ball 1.
Neifi Perez, one of those hitters, when you get ahead, you can expand the strike zone.
One and one.
Well, one of the areas, Kenny, that has really hurt the Cubs this year, Corey Patterson, they had hoped would be a leadoff guy. Well, their leadoff hitters this year have combined for a .250 batting average, on base percentage a little over 300.
Broken bat grounder to the second baseman Eastley, and that will do it for the Cubs in the 4th. They tie the score. Back-to-back base hits. Burnitz doubled in. Garciaparra. Juan Encarnacion leading off for the Marlins here in the 5th against Greg Maddux. Encarnacion has the Marlins' only hit of the game. He singled leading off the 2nd inning, was erased on a double play. In fact, Maddux has retired 8 in a row since Encarnacion's base hit.
Going with that theory we talked about earlier with Maddux, he's thrown 12 of 14 first pitch strikes. So sometimes, yeah, that first pitch is the best one to hit.
A 1-1. Encarnacion now with both Marlins hits and rolls to the wall in the left field corner. Encarnacion is in with a stand-up double. His 21st two-base hit of the season.
Then sometimes again a good hanging breaking ball is a good pitch to hit off Maddux as well. There it is. It just floats, a backup slider. The catcher Michael Barrett set outside. The backup slider floated in a nice happy zone for Encarnacion and into that left field corner.
So Juan now 2 for 2. Here's Damian Easley, who grounded into that double play following the Encarnacion base hit back in the 2nd. Looking to bunt Encarnacion to third. Maddux with no play. And the Marlins have runners on the corners with nobody out.
You can talk about a guy playing a new position, and you can talk about what he has to do as far as fielding balls, throwing balls, but Garciaparra in this situation comes in, but he also has to realize he has a 14-time Gold Glover on the mound in Greg Maddux. Nobody's at third because he's vacated the position, and then Maddux has no play at first base. That's one of those communication things that's real tough when you haven't been at a position very long.
And it's not like Nomar had a spring training under his belt. He volunteered earlier this week to play third when Aramis Ramirez went on the DL. Pitch out, ball 1 to Alex Gonzalez. Last time Garciaparra played third base was in high school. Played 1 game at second base, his first major league game with the Red Sox. 1,024 games at shortstop. This is second game at third.
Well, as you said, Kenny, to his credit, it was Nomar who went to Dusty Baker and suggested the move to third base because he felt it would help the ball club.
1-1 on Gonzalez. Runners on the corners, nobody out. Here in the Marlins 5th. Strike 2, 1-2.
Maddux is always on those corners. When he starts getting that call consistently and putting the ball there, then he's extremely tough. The little out that he has now is that he's working at the bottom end of the order against the Marlins.
Encarnacion on third, Easley at first. The 1-2 to Gonzalez, missing away, 2-2. The catcher Matt Trainer, the number 8 hitter, waiting on deck. Popped up to the right side. The second baseman Walker is under it, 1 away. Time now for a game break. We check in with Patrick O'Neill at the Fox Network Center. All right, thanks, Patrick. Washington won last night's game 4-1, denying Tony La Russa career win number 2,196. He moved past Sparky Anderson earlier this week into third on the all-time list. The Washington Nationals in last place, yet they are 6 games over 500 and just 2.5 games out in the wild card race.
Well, certainly our congratulations to Tony La Russa. Quite a career. And it has the Cardinals looking pretty good right now in the National League Central. Here's the situation right now with 1 down, the number 8 batter and Matt Trainer. Runners at the corners. There are a lot of options for Jack McKeon. He could squeeze. He could put a hit and run on. He could send easily in a straight steal. There are all kinds of things that could happen right now.
What do you think?
Well, we've seen Jack McKeon over the last couple of years use the squeeze play. That's a possibility. You also have a pitcher out there who throws strikes. You like that if you're thinking about a squeeze, but you also like that if you're thinking about hit and run.
Or if you're thinking about peeling a sunflower seed.
Or doing an interview with you and I.
Multitasking. 1-1 on Trainer, who flied to center his first time up. He's 0 for 2 lifetime against Maddox.
So on the other hand, Dusty Baker, he realizes all that, so he has to decide, do I pitch out anytime during this at bat?
There it is, the pitch out.
Dusty thinking along our lines.
Runners on first and third, 1 out in a 1-1 game.
Maddox, one of the few guys, probably wouldn't with a 2-1 count, but you can pitch out twice in a row with Maddox because he throws so many strikes.
There's a strike, 2-2.
And good strikes.
Encarnacion and Easley the base runners. Dontrelle Willis waiting on deck. Just missing away. You can hear the reaction from the crowd, and the count is full.
Greg Maddux is so sharp out there. He'll get one call. He'll try to go an inch further outside. See if he gets the next one. Then maybe another inch outside.
Now time called by the home plate umpire, Jeff Kellogg.
3-2 with one down. I am sure Damian Easley, the runner at first base, will be on the move.
Easley goes, ball 4, so the bases are loaded. And you know Willis has to love coming up in this situation.
Pretty patient at bat by the Marlins catcher Matt Trainer. Took some close pitches, took a close one for ball 4.
So now Willis, who, as we mentioned earlier, is second among pitchers in runs batted in and in hits. An opportunity with the bases loaded. Swing at the first pitch. Foul ball.
And remember, back in the third inning, Dontrelle Willis saw a couple of real good off-speed pitches, good changeup to hit a little tapper back to the mound.
Bases loaded. Encarnacion on third. Easley on at second. Trainer over at first. 1 out. Top of the 5th inning. In a 1-1 game.
Willis thinking drive the ball, at least sacrifice fly. The Cubs thinking ground ball, double play.
Willis bounced back to Maddox his first time up. And he takes one for the team there. Second hit batsman. Coming in is Encarnacion. An RBI for Willis. His 8th of the year. The Marlins on top 2-1.
Dontrelle Willis earned that RBI. And not too many games in his 19-year career that Greg Maddux has hit a couple of batters in the same game. Tried to go inside. The ball really took off. Good company, Dontrelle Willis. Jason Marquis of the St. Louis Cardinals having a terrific year offensively. Both
times Maddox has hit a Marlin today, it has led to a run. Pierre led off the game, was hit by a pitch, came around to score the Marlins' first run. Bases loaded, 1 out for Pierre. On the ground to the second baseman, Walker. There's 1, there's 2. Juan Pierre ground into the 4-6-3, but the Marlins take the lead. Hey, Dusty. Hey, Dusty. It's Kenny Albert, Tommy Hutton. Thanks for joining us. All set?
Yeah, I guess, but I can't find where the camera is.
You're looking at it. You're fine. There we go.
Across the field, up top?
Yeah, you're good. Right where you're doing
right
now
there,
is good.
yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, okay, I got you. Because
Okay.
I saw the one all covered up. I didn't see the other one.
Dusty and Nomar Garciaparra, very unselfish, volunteered to move to third base earlier this week. Can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, you know, Ramos went down, and we were trying to decide whether we're going to put Nomar on the DL or not. And then when Ramos went down, he says, hey, man, you know, I got to play. You know, Ramos went down. We need some offense, and he volunteered to play third. And most times a guy can play short, you know, he can play third. And, you know, that's how the conversation went. Thursday came out and worked out at third base with Chris Spire and took a lot of ground balls, went over bunt plays and all kind of things. So, you know, he's looking pretty good so far.
Dusty, how about Greg Maddux? I bet you haven't seen him hit 2 guys in the same game very often, have you?
No, I mean, early in the year I think he did, but that is rare. You know, like the first guy he hit Juan Pierre, that's the last guy you want to hit because you can't hardly stop him from stealing. Then in that situation, trying to get a double play, throwing the ball inside on Dontrell. And, you know, it is rare, but we're fortunate enough to get out of that inning with just 1 run, so we got to get it back.
Thank you, Dusty.
All right, see you later.
That's great. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
We'll do the interview after the first out, I assume. First pitch, okay. Bottom of the 5th, Dontrell Willis again pitching with the lead, facing Greg Maddux, who struck out his first time up. Between innings, Tommy and I spoke with Cubs skipper Dusty Baker. Dusty and Nomar Garciaparra, very unselfish, volunteered to move to third base earlier this week. Can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, you know, Ramos went down, and we were trying to decide whether we're going to put Nomar on the DL or not. And then when Ramos went down, he says, hey, man, you know, I got to play. You know, Ramos went down. We need some offense, and he volunteered to play third. And most times a guy can play short, you know, he can play third. And, you know, that's how the conversation went. Thursday came out and worked out at third base with Chris Spire and took a lot of ground balls, went over bunt plays and all kind of things. So, you know, he's looking pretty good so far.
Dusty, how about Greg Maddux? I bet you haven't seen him hit 2 guys in the same game very often, have you?
No, I mean, early in the year I think he did, but that is rare. You know, like the first guy he hit Juan Pierre, that's the last guy you want to hit because you can't hardly stop him from stealing. Then in that situation, trying to get a double play, throwing the ball inside on Dontrell. And, you know, it is rare, but we're fortunate enough to get out of that inning with just 1 run, so we got to get it back.
Thank you, Dusty.
All right, see you later.
And while you were listening to Dusty Baker, Greg Maddux led off the inning with his 13th base hit of the season.
Well, we talked about it. Maddux, a good contact hitter. He's been that way over his career. Hit a ball right up the middle for a base hit.
Jerry Hairston behind, 0-2. He's grounded out twice today. Todd Walker waiting on deck. Hairston down on strikes. 4th strikeout for Dontrell Willis. Now, Todd Walker had been wearing a microphone for us until his at bat in the 3rd inning. Let's listen. Right off the transmitter. We'll send Dontrell Willis the bill.
That is a great shot.
So Dontrell, if you receive a bill from Los Angeles from Fox Sports for one transmitter, that's why. Perfect aim. Todd's still wearing it, although it has malfunctioned.
Well, I see players are superstitious, and Walker's 1 for 1, a single, and he was hit. So he's been on base 2 times, so he's going to keep that transmitter on.
They want to wear it again tomorrow. High and tight from Willis. 3-1. Washington still trailing St. Louis 4-0. As we check out other scores, Yankees out on top of Kansas City 3-0. Maddox on first, 1 out. 3-1 to Walker. Bounced foul.
Now his foot's sore. He's rolled over on the transmitter.
Well, perhaps if he had been wearing a transmitter on his foot, it would have protected him from that foul ball.
He had so much to say to us today, too. I would have loved to have heard what he said there.
Well, we had 2 Todds mic'd. Todd Jones and Todd Walker were down to 1 Todd. Maddox goes. And the pitch is fouled off. Maddox actually stole a base in a game on Fox last month in New York against the Mets.
Well, he's not trying to steal a base. He's just trying to be on the move because Dusty Baker's putting confidence in his hitter. Todd Walker's only struck out 30 times this year.
Walker gets the bat on it. Left field. Conan. 2 out. As Maddox heads back to first.
Always a tough outfield to play on a sunny day at Wrigley Field. I know the other day Gold Glover Andrew Jones had some problems on a couple of fly balls. Center field, right field can be tough.
Here's Derek Lee, 0 for 2 today. He's now 0 for 6 in this series with 3 strikeouts. Struck out his last time up. Willis with 4 strikeouts today, going for win number 18, which would tie the Marlins club record set by Carl Pavano last year. The Marlins, one of 3 major league clubs that have never had a 20-game winner. The Marlins, the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and the Colorado Rockies have never had a 20-game winner. Willis just 3 away from becoming the first Marlin to reach that plateau.
Dontrell Willis with the 17 wins, tied right now with Kevin Brown and Alex Fernandez in Marlins history.
Carl Pavano 18 last year. Only 4 wins this year in 17 starts for the Yankees before he went on the DL. Lee, center field. Pierre backpedaling. And that will do it for the Cubs in the 5th. Marlins with a 2-1 lead. Moving along. Here we go. I always look at Marty's scrap paper. What he's using. The Toronto Blue Jays roster. Usually it's like a Georgetown box score. What else do we have? Some of these are today? Yeah, that's today's. You can't use today's. You got to use stuff from 20 years ago. Yankees playing Hideo. No, that's only a month ago. That's only a month. That's disappointing. I want to see that Patrick Ewing box score from 1984.
Direct from the garden.
No clouds. It's perfect.
Yesterday it came in middle of the game. They turned the lights on actually. Yeah.
Just a picture-perfect afternoon in Chicago as we head to the 6th inning.
There's what is called a high sky. Don't ask me to explain it. You only know if you're camped under a fly ball and you're trying to find it. See a lot of high skies in spring training, Arizona and in Florida.
Well, I guess with a lot of clouds in the sky, it gives you better depth perception.
Something to bounce it off of. But a clear blue sky here today.
And Jeff Conine leading off for the Marlins in the 6th against Greg Maddux. Conine, a sacrifice bunt in the 1st inning, which moved Pierre from 2nd to 3rd, helped lead to the first Florida run. And he grounded out to short in the 4th.
Terrific veteran who filled in really well when Carlos Delgado went on the disabled list. Conine started about 17 straight games, hit over 350 during that time.
Now finds himself in left field with Cabrera having moved to 3rd base.
Now you see it, now you don't. The Greg Maddux changeup.
The 1-2 and Conine fouls it off.
You know, Maddux with a little bit of wildness, the couple of hit batters. He had a stretch of 72 1/3 innings back in 2001 where he did not walk a batter.
Wow. Conine right field, long run for Burnett, and he chases it down.
Well, a very nice play by Jeremy Burnett. It's a long way to go. The sun, the high sky, the ivy, no territory and foul territory here at Wrigley. Good concentration, and he made a nice play.
Tommy Fox Saturday Baseball returns in 2 weeks on September 10th. Many of you will see the Red Sox and the Yankees. Nationals host the Braves, White Sox and the Angels, Padres at the Dodgers. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Fox Saturday Baseball 2 weeks from today on Fox. And when you talk about the lack of walks throughout the career of Greg Maddux, as Miguel Cabrera steps in, he's walked one Marlin today. Does not have a strikeout, but to put things in perspective, during the major league career of Greg Maddux, he's 13th on the all-time strikeout list with over 3,000. 3,020 to be exact. 147th on the all-time walks list with only 901.
Ben Sheets doing a great job this year. Actually pitched a nice game against the Braves last night up in Milwaukee.
The Brewers in 3rd place in the National League Central, 2.5 games in front of the 4th place Cubs. 2-2 on Cabrera, who drove in a run on a sacrifice fly in the 1st and then fly to center in the 4th with Carlos Delgado waiting on deck.
There you have Derek Lee, You have Albert Pujols, then you have Miguel Cabrera, number 3 in the National League. So 2 of the 3 here today.
This one is ripped down the left field line. Extra bases for Miguel Cabrera. His 37th double of the season, which is 4th in the National League.
There's a look at those guys we talked about. You talk about some young stars. Derek Lee certainly leading, but the young guys, Pujols and Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera, just 22 years of age, makes adjustments like a 32-year-old during his at-bats.
And Derek Lee, of course, Cabrera's teammate on the 2003 World Champion Florida Marlins.
Yeah, Derek Lee, the aged veteran at 29.
Who's cooled down a bit. For a while, he was leading in all 3 Triple Crown categories in the National League. So with 1 out, Cabrera on at second. Here's Delgado. Carlos 0 for 2 today, grounded out to second, flat out to center.
Mentioned Delgado spent some time on the disabled list with a left hand injury that, when he came back, affected his swing a little bit, but over the last week he has shown the Marlins that that hand is healthy the way he swung the bat.
Foul back this way, 0-2.
8 straight years of 30 or more home runs for Carlos Delgado. Only 8 players have ever done that for 9 straight years, so certainly an opportunity for Carlos Delgado to join that list.
Barry Bonds, the record holder. He did it 13 consecutive seasons. A called strike 3. First strikeout of the game for Maddox. Delgado not happy with the home plate umpire, Kellogg.
That time, very close. Maddox getting the call, but he's done that for 19 years.
Tommy, our WebMD health update. Cubs third baseman Aramis Ramirez placed on the disabled list earlier this week with a strained left quad. Suffered on Wednesday against the Braves while running to first. Check your own symptoms at WebMD.com.
I think with Aramis Ramirez on the disabled list, it certainly is going to put more pressure on Derek Lee, because those 2 guys together, actually Ramirez leading the Cubs in RBIs.
With 92, 1 more than Derek Lee. 2 outs. Here's Juan Encarnacion, who has 2 hits today. 2 of the 3 Marlins hits off Maddox. High ball 1. Cabrera on at second, following his 1-out double. Delgado called out on strikes. So Encarnacion with 2 outs. And for a strike, 1-1.
Interesting to see how Maddox approaches Encarnacion. He's hitting well with the 2 hits. He has first base open. So it really depends on how he wants to pitch him, what he wants to throw. He can be perfect. If he misses, he can go after easily who's on deck.
One and 2.
Crowding him with a pretty good fastball. That ball just jumped up and in under the hands. And even though that fastball's in the mid-80s now for Greg Maddux, he's still successful with it because of the other stuff he features.
Encarnacion leads the National League with runners in scoring position. Cabrera at second. The 1-2. Encarnacion reaches out and grounds out to the shortstop, Neifi Perez. Middle of the 6th from Wrigley. 2-1 Marlins. swept them earlier this year.
Yeah, I wrote that down so I didn't forget. Thanks.
Fox Saturday Baseball, sponsored by WebMD, America's health site. By Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way. By Goodyear Forterra, tough on the outside, soft on the inside. And by GMC Trucks and SUVs, we are professional grade. He's freaking out for Maddox on Fox. Greg Maddux and the Cubs trailing Dontrelle Willis and the Marlins 2-1. Michael Barrett leading off here in the bottom of the 6th inning for Chicago. He's grounded out twice to the shortstop, Alex Gonzalez.
And Michael Barrett hitting in the cleanup spot for the Cubs. 2nd day in a row. First time that he's hit cleanup for Chicago.
After Ramirez was placed on the disabled list. Barrett, deep right, Encarnacion back on the warning track. He makes the catch. Barrett 0 for 3. Well, it's time now for the Aquafina fan cam. As we take you out behind right field, Sheffield Avenue, the fans who are not necessarily in the ballpark, Tommy, but have a bird's eye view.
Is it a game or is it a party?
A little bit of both. Just a gorgeous Saturday afternoon in Chicago. Nomar Garciaparra with 2 hits today. 2 of the Cubs' 5 base hits. Singled up the middle in the 2nd and again in the 4th. Not this time, as the catch is made by Juan Pierre for the 2nd out.
But you notice he did the same thing, went right back up the middle, hit that ball very well. The guy who 7 times has hit over 300, Garciaparra, career 320 plus hitter.
So with 2 away, here's Jeremy Burnitz, who drove in the Cubs' only run back in the 4th when he doubled home Garciaparra. Missing inside, ball 1. Take you back to that 4th inning. Burnitz into the gap in left center, scoring Garciaparra all the way from first.
Well, Burnitz had gotten himself in a real nice hitting count, knew he was going to get that fastball, and then Dontrelle Willis left the fastball up and out over the strike zone.
The 1-1 from Willis. Fastball missing inside, 2-1.
Willis trying to crowd Burnitz with that fastball in. A lot of success against the Marlins this year.
Willis capturing the outside corner, 2-2. Willis not only 1 win shy of tying Carl Pavano's team record, but 1 behind Chris Carpenter, who leads the major leagues with 18. We'll return after these messages from your local Fox station.
Only one starter I can think of that was ever a good starter.
Remingler, he was a starter, and now he has a flexible reliever.
Right, but it's easier to go from that than from the bullpen to the starting rotation. Schilling's the only one I can think of.
You think it's easier going from reliever to
No,
starting?
no. I think it's harder. There's only been one guy that I can think of as a reliever that ended up being a good starter, and that was
Smoltz?
Yeah, but he was a starter first.
Yeah.
Starter, reliever, starter.
Yeah, you're right.
Dennis Eckersley, starter. Then he went to the Hall of Fame as a reliever. Yep. Would he have been a Hall of Famer as a starter? No.
Explaining it to Ishmael Valdez.
Okay.
You realize, Kenny, that in this game focused on third baseman, neither has had a ground ball.
It's funny. We head to the 7th inning in Chicago. Kenny Albert with Tommy Hutton. Vince Vaughn crashing Wrigley Field after he's crashed a couple of weddings.
Looking for Owen Wilson.
Think we'll find him here?
No, he may be crashing a wedding.
May have found Hack Wilson, but that was a much different era. Damian Easley, Alex Gonzalez, Matt Trainer for the Marlins here in the 7th. Easley, a bunt single his last time up. Broken bat pop up. Not enough time for Barrett. 1-1.
Second time today that Maddox has just totally sawed off Damian Easley. And that gives you an idea of the movement, how much that ball moves as it comes inside to really jam Easley. Damian Easley, one of those players who had an all-star career, had some tremendous seasons with the Detroit Tigers. Now all of a sudden is adjusted to a part-time role as a Marlin.
Now the Marlins have done well in his starts. When Easley starts the game, the Marlins have gone 32-18.
Primarily earlier in his career, second baseman, but he has started games at second, short, and at third.
An all-star back in '98 with the Tigers. Hit 20 or more home runs 3 times. 1 ball, 2 strike count with Gonzalez waiting on deck. Got him. Second strikeout for Greg Maddux. Again, we let you listen in to Marlins closer Todd Jones.
Well, why are there more starters that become relievers than there are
relievers become a starter?
Yes. There's only one starter I can think of that was ever a good starter.
Remingler, he was a starter, and now he has a flexible reliever.
Right, but it's easier to go from that than from the bullpen to the starting rotation. Schilling's the only one I can think of.
You think it's easier going from reliever to
No,
starting?
no. I think it's harder. There's only been one guy that I can think of as a reliever that ended up being a good starter, and that was
Smoltz?
Yeah, but he was a starter first.
Yeah.
Starter, reliever, starter.
Yeah, you're right.
Dennis Eckersley, starter. Then he went to the Hall of Fame as a reliever. Yep. Would he have been a Hall of Famer as a starter? No.
I sense a Sporting News column on the subject. Maddox to lead to retired trainer. A 6-pitch, 1-2-3, 7th. Buck Saturday Baseball is sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? And by XM Satellite Radio with live play-by-play of Major League Baseball games for every team all season long. Bottom of the order for the Cubs here in the 7th against Dontrelle Willis. A.P. Perez leading off. He has walked and struck out. Marlins leading the Cubs 2-1. Marlins with a run in the 1st, a run in the 5th. Cubs scored their run in the 4th. 1-2 on Perez.
Dusty Baker getting his bullpen ready with Greg Maddux due up 3rd here in the 7th inning.
Dusty's wife, Melissa, goes way back with Dontrelle Willis's aunt. They went to school together as youngsters. In fact, Melissa Baker, the wife of Dusty, attended a baby shower for Dontrelle before he was born, as Kerry Wood is up and throwing in the Cubs pen, and Perez is called out on strikes. One away here in the Cubs 7th. Our trivia question brought to you by Capital One. It's a tough one. Since 1969, who has the most number of plate appearances per strikeout in a single season? He struck out every 56 plate appearances. And he was a teammate of Tommy Hutton. Corey Patterson flies out to Encarnacion in right for the 2nd out.
Are we thinking a Larry Boa, perhaps?
You have the right club, right franchise. We'll give the viewers and Tommy a couple of minutes to think about it.
All right, I'm continuing to think as Kerry Wood continues to throw, but Maddux with nobody on base and 2 out is going to continue to hit. He had himself a base hit last time up.
So do you think Melissa Baker has mixed emotions when she watches Dontrelle pitch against her husband's club? Or not really?
She may not relay those emotions when she talks to Dusty.
Probably a smart move.
Yes.
1-2 on Maddox. Two balls, two strikes.
One of the areas of concern for Dontrelle Willis in his brief career, he's tailed off a little bit the second half of the season. This year he's 4-4 after the All-Star break, but one of those losses was a 1-0 loss.
13-4 prior to the All-Star break, as Maddox rounds out to Gonzalez. Through 7, it's the Marlins 2, the Cubs 1. Time now for our DHL game break with Patrick O'Neill and Kevin Kennedy.
Right below us? Where? How many? What color?
Fox Saturday Baseball is sponsored by DHL, delivering America's pastime on time. 8th inning at Wrigley. Marlins leading the Cubs 2-1. Dontrelle Willis steps in against Greg Maddox. He was hit by a pitch his last time up with the bases loaded, which forced home the go-ahead run. Encarnacion scored the Marlins' second run. And they continue to lead the Cubs 2-1.
You can see the way Greg Maddox is pitching Dontrelle Willis. It's just as if he were pitching a regular hitter in the lineup. He's not a pitcher to Maddox.
On the ground to the second baseman Walker for the first out here in the 8th. And as we mentioned earlier, both Marlin runs have involved the hit batsman Pierre. First batter of the game hit by a pitch. He then stole second and makes the catch. Pierre sacrificed to third and then scored on the Cabrera sacrifice fly.
As you mentioned, the other run came in when Dontrelle Willis was hit by a pitch, his 8th RBI this year.
Dontrelle also drove in the game-winning run in his last start
with a sacrifice fly.
So if the score holds, it'll be 2 consecutive starts in which Willis drove in the game-winning run. Big day here at Wrigley tomorrow as the Cubs will retire Ryan Sandberg's number 23, the newly enshrined Hall of Famer. Juan Pierre slaps one the other way. Base hit into left field. His first hit of the game. Well, Juan Pierre does not strike out very often, once every 15.9 plate appearances, which brings us back to our Capital One trivia question. Since 1969, who holds the record most number of plate appearances per strikeout in a single season? And Tommy, he was a teammate of yours with the Phillies.
Double play partner of Larry Boa, Dave Cash. Had a couple of back-to-back 200-hit seasons. Big catalyst for those Phillies teams in the 70s.
He struck out only 13 times all season in over 700 plate appearances for the 76 Phillies.
And if you noticed on the list that we showed you, 3 of the 4 names on that list, Marlins, LaDuca, Castillo, and Juan Pierre.
Maddox with 2 strikeouts today. Cubs have led the National League in strikeouts. Their pitchers have over the last 4 years.
Well, it's also Kenny manufactured time again for Jack McKeon. He's happy with a 1-run lead, but he'd love to have a 2-run lead. He has speed on the bases. Pierre with 45 stolen bases. Has a guy with good bat control at the plate, Jeff Conine.
Conine 0 for 3 in today's game. 88 pitches so far thrown by Maddox in 7 1/3 innings. High to Conine, ball 2. Pierre goes. Conine, ground ball to the shortstop Perez. He checked second, saw he had no chance, and threw it across to get Conine for the second out.
As you see, Juan Pierre on the move, and that's why Nefi Perez did not have a chance to start a double play or get the out at second base.
So Pierre now at second with 2 outs as Miguel Cabrera steps in.
You know, that's one of those little things, but just because he was on the move, all of a sudden now no inning-ending double play, and here's Cabrera with a runner in scoring position.
Pierre goes, throw to third is not in time. Juan Pierre has regained the National League lead with his 46th stolen base.
And again, getting a little walking lead at second base, and then a big jump, not allowing Michael Barrett much of a chance to throw him out at third.
So 5 steals in the last 3 games for Juan Pierre. Overtakes Jose Reyes. There's a strike, 1-1 on Cabrera. Cabrera drove in the first run of the game back in the first inning with a sacrifice fly, doubled his last time up. 1-1. In for a strike, 1-2.
Well, manufacturing runs is something the Marlins have to do because over their last 21 games, they've hit just 6 home runs. 4 of those by Carlos Delgado, 2 by the man at the plate, Miguel Cabrera.
That's amazing. So only 2 Marlins have hit home runs in the last 21 games.
This being game 22.
Wow.
Barrett's target outside. Didn't quite get the ball to come back and catch the corner.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Full count.
Yeah, I think Greg Maddux wanted that called third strike. It was a better pitch than the pitch before. Borderline, probably missed the plate by an inch or 2, but yeah, he gets that call a lot. I think right now Michael Barrett, his catcher, just going to go out and calm him down and keep him away from Jeff Kellogg, the home plate umpire.
Barrett only made it about halfway out and then Headed right back behind the plate. Fans on their feet here on Wrigley. Payoff pitch to Cabrera. Bounce to the shortstop, Perez. Fires across the lead. Juan Pierre stranded on third. We'll come back with that.
Okay.
How many guys would get away with that?
That's right. Had a game early in the year in New York. Dontrelle Willis. Pitch after pitch. He didn't get the call, and they were borderline. Forget who the umpire was, and he, at the end of the inning, went. And Dontrelle, all he told him, he said, I ain't changing. I'm going to keep coming right there with that same pitch. And later in the game, he got a couple calls.
Fox Saturday Baseball, sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. By Aquafina, make your body happy, drink more water. By M3 Power Nitro from Gillette, the world's closest shave with a bold new look. And by Chevy. Chevy and baseball, they just go together. At American Revolution. Bottom of the 8th. Here at Wrigley, 2-1 Marlins. Jerry Hairston takes a called strike, 0-1.
Both pitchers pouring in lots of strikes and lots of quality strikes as well.
Hairston 0 for 3, couple of ground outs and a strikeout. Dontrelle Willis pitching into the 8th. He's thrown a major league leading 6 complete games this season. Marlins as a team have pitched 13 complete games, which leads the major leagues. Guillermo Mota up in the Florida pen. Hairston, Walker, and Lee for the Cubs here in the 8th. Luke foul.
They almost seem, as you watch Dontrelle Willis with Ryan Dempster loosening up for the Cubs, that he's getting stronger. After the base hit of Greg Maddux in the 5th inning that led off that 5th inning, Willis has retired 9 straight.
He's allowed only 5 hits in the game. Cubs scored their run back in the 4th. One behind Chris Carpenter of the St. Louis Cardinals. The Angels' Bartolo Colon also has 17 wins. The White Sox, John Garland with 16. A win today, and Willis would tie the franchise record set by Carl Pavano last year.
Well, I think when you're talking Cy Young in the National League, you're talking about Chris Carpenter, you're talking about Roger Clemens, and you're talking about Dontrelle Willis.
Carpenter has won his last 10 decisions. We mentioned Willis at one point 13-4, only 4-4 since the All-Star break. Hairston stays alive at 2-2.
There they are. You can almost read Roger Clemens' lips. Get me some runs.
How about that earned run average? 1.56. Amazing. Cubs fans can only think what might have been as they watch Dontrelle Willis on the mound. The Cubs' 8th round draft pick back in 2000. Traded to the Marlins in March of 2002. Ninth pitch of the at-bat coming to Hairston. And it's a base hit into left field. So the Cubs have the leadoff man on here in the 8th. After Maddox in the top half finally retired Miguel Cabrera after, in his mind, a couple of non-strike calls from the home plate umpire Jeff Kellogg.
Well, he walked off the mound, had a little conversation with Kellogg, I thought in a professional manner, and certainly something that Greg Maddux should be allowed to do.
Successful sacrifice as Walker moves Hairston over to second.
There's the questionable pitch. Maddox a couple of steps off the mound. He thought he had strike 3. Visibly upset with the call. And had a brief conversation with Jeff Kellogg. And I thought both handled it very professionally. Kellogg the same way.
Marlins pitching coach Mark Wiley heading out to the mound with 1 out and a runner on second. For Todd Walker of the Cubs, a couple of firsts today. He was hit by a pitch for the first time this season. And moments ago, his first sacrifice of the year.
One of the areas that the Cubs have not been very successful in, they haven't utilized it a lot, is the little ball to try to scratch for runs. So Dusty Baker showing that with the leadoff single and then the sacrifice bunt of Walker.
Mota continues to get loose in the Marlins bullpen. Marlins 4 out of the division, a game and a half out of the wild card. They lead this game 2-1. And that will be all for Dontrelle Willis after 7 1/3 innings. The line on Dontrell Willis, who exits after 7 1/3 innings. You throw 106 pitches, and now Guillermo Mota will face Derek Lee, who is 1 for 10 lifetime against Mota.
And what he will see is a terrific changeup, which he saw in that first pitch, a fastball that's in the 95+ range, occasionally a slider.
Hairston takes his leadoff second with 1 out. 0-2 on Lee.
Changeup fastball, didn't take him long to get ahead 0-2.
Lee 0 for 7 in the series. Michael Barrett waiting on deck. 2-1 Marlins, bottom of the 8th.
Generally, Jack McKeon is the one who makes the pitching change. A little unusual for Mark Wiley, the pitching coach, to go out and talk to Dontrell, and I would imagine during the course of the conversation they decided to make the move, and Wiley went to the bullpen as Jack probably instructed him to.
The 1-2 from Mota. In the air, left center. Pierre is under it. 2 out. Time now to take a look at today's AutoZone Strike Zone for our starting pitchers.
We offered you a pitching matchup, and look what you got. Anytime you see an outfielder staggering around that way, you know that sun is devastating. Juan Pierre had to really stay with that one.
So with 2 outs, here's Michael Barrett.
There's that high sky again. Hasn't changed. Sun's moved around.
Barrett today 0 for 3.
No day to forget the glasses in the outfield.
No. Especially here. Hairston a leadoff single. Walker sacrificed him to second. Lee fly to center. So with 2 outs, Barrett at the plate. Batting .322 with runners in scoring position. 2-2. Well, Major League Baseball Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Cure Search Childhood Cancer Foundation have teamed up for the 2005 Commissioners Initiative for Kids, courtesy of AmeriQuest. 1 million tickets have been distributed to charitable organizations, now 3 in 1, as well as a $1,000 donation by AmeriQuest to the Boys and Girls Clubs and Cure Search. For more details on this program, visit MLB.com. That's a $1 million donation by AmeriQuest. The 3-1. Barrett, left field. Conine is there. He makes the catch, and we are heading to the 9th. Willis in line for win number 18 if the bullpen can hang on. Yep. Ninth inning, Wrigley Field. Marlins 2, Cubs 1. Carlos Delgado, first pitch from Maddox. Rounds out to the second baseman, Walker. So Delgado 0 for 4.
Tell you what, Todd Walker's playing so deep at second. By the time he reacted and came to get that ball, it was very close play at first base. Walker playing about 20 steps into right field. There you go, Kenny. That would look good on you.
Find out, see location, and I'm there.
You know, you see you wear it. If you don't like it, you keep the price tag on it. You can take it back.
May shield that sun for some of the outfielders today. They need it. Juan Encarnacion, couple of hits. Greg Maddux has pitched one complete game this year, 3 starts ago against the Cardinals. Ironically, hitting 2 batters today, and in both instances, the hit batsman led to a run. Encarnacion, Hernandez without a hat, does have sunglasses, makes the catch for the second out of the inning. Well, on September 11th, Fox NFL Sunday returns with exciting doubleheader action, beginning with the Redskins and the Bears. Cowboys take on the Chargers, plus other regional action. It all begins September 11th, 2 weeks from tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. 2 outs for Damian Easley. And Easley lines out to Hairston in left. So Maddox goes 9. We head to the bottom of the ninth. Garciaparra, Burnitz, Perez due up. Lowell's in third. Did you mention that no balls have been hit to third today?
No. Except for the sack bunt. Walker's sack bunt, the only third play at third. And Cabrera goes into left. So Conine goes to first. Conine goes to first.
Delgado out. Look at the National League East standings. This is the latest date in National League history that an entire division has been above 500. It's August 27th, and the entire division above 500. Omar Garciaparra leading off here in the bottom of the ninth. It's happened once in the American League. Jeff Conine has moved from left field to first base. Mike Lowell now in the game at third for the Marlins. Miguel Cabrera moves from third to left. And the closer, Todd Jones. We heard from Todd earlier. He's wearing a microphone for us today. He looks for save number 31. And one other change for the Marlins, Paul LaDuca now behind the plate.
It's a matchup that Jack McKeon likes, to have LaDuca handling Jones. The whole key to Jones' success this year, lots of strikes. He has a game plan for every hitter that he faces, and you can see how he's gone right after Garciaparra. 2 quick strikes.
Nomar with 2 of the Cubs hits today. Cubs with 6 hits in the game. And Jones strikes out Garciaparra for the first out of the inning. Todd Jones still wearing the microphone. Let's listen.
Okay. I need one with a strike in it. Give me one with a strike. Yeah.
Well, Jeff Kellogg did as he was told as Jones strikes out Garciaparra. Burnett off the glove of Conine. On his way to second. So Jeff Conine, who moved moments ago from left field to first base, unable to make the play on the hard hit ball off the bat of Jeremy Burnett.
That ball just took a flat-out nasty hop. Conine there for it. Burnett's second double, and there's that hop skipping over the shoulder and over the glove of Conine. Burnett's going hard all the way once he saw that ball skip past Conine, knowing that he could get into scoring position.
So the potential tying run is on at second. Neifi Perez coming to the plate. He struck out his last 2 times up. Dontrell Willis went 7 1/3. Pitcher of record for the Marlins, who lead the Cubs 2-1. Burnett's on second, 1 out. Strike 1 to Perez. Terrific job by our entire crew today here in Chicago, led by producer Larry Lancaster, director Bill Webb, the associate director Judy Wong, broadcast associate Mike Fox. Our technical producer is Craig Marlowe, technical director Jonathan Evans. 0-2. Studio show produced by Gary Lang, directed by Bob Levy, the associate director Stephanie Medina. Coordinating producer of the studio show is Scott Ackerson. The studio technical supervisor is Jack Simmons. Highlights coordinator is Janice Casaza. The vice president of field operations is Jerry Steinberg. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. And the executive producers David Hill and Ed Gorin. The 0-2 from Jones. And Perez lifts it into shallow left. Coming on to make the catch is Cabrera. The Cubs now down to their final out.
Interesting pitch because Todd Jones throws so many strikes. He had an 0-2 count and actually gave Neifi Perez a pretty good pitch to hit. A guy who will chase anything when he has 2 strikes on him.
Todd Jones has thrown 7 pitches in the inning, 7 strikes. So when he asked Kellogg for a strike ball, he got what he asked for and more.
Got the right one.
Corey Patterson represents the Cubs' last hope. He's 0 for 3 today, 1 for 5 lifetime against Jones. Burnett's on second. 2 outs, bottom of the ninth. Marlins leading 2-1. 8 pitches, 8 strikes.
One of the things that has gotten Corey Patterson sent back to the minor leagues for 95 strikeouts, just 19 walks. They've tried to get him to bring the hands up a little bit to make a little more contact, but not hitting well since his return.
Cubs now down. Excuse me, Tommy. Cubs down to their final strike.
And another strike.
0-2 on Patterson. Thanks to Marty Aronoff and Jeff Friedman crunching the numbers for us today. Christine Charbonneau here in the booth. No balls, 2-strike count on Corey Patterson. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th inning. Runner on second, Burnitz. Ball 1. Todd Jones, 30 saves, 20 in a row, including here in Wrigley yesterday. Patterson stays alive.
Notice he's trying to stay up with that fastball to Corey Patterson. Watch this pitch up under the hands, right in that area. Patterson just fights it off.
Big lead for Burnitz. He represents the tying run. Patterson, another foul back to the screen to stay alive. Jose Macias has come out on deck should Patterson reach. Todd Jones looked to save it for Dontrell Willis. Willis allowed a run on 6 hits in 7 1/3 innings. The 1-2 from Jones on the ground to the first baseman. This time Conine able to make the play. Marlins win it 2-1, and Dontrell Willis has tied Carl Pavado's club record with his 18th victory of the season. He is also tied for the major league lead with Chris Carpenter of St. Louis.
I think we saw a couple reasons, Kenny, why the Marlins continue to battle in that wild card race. Pitching, Dontrell Willis with his performance today, and some of the little ball, manufacturing some runs because of some hit batters.
So Dontrell Willis, 7 1/3 innings, continuing his dominance of the Cubs here in Wrigley. Also hit by a pitch, and that actually drove in the game-winning run. Greg Maddux went the distance, suffered the loss. He is now 10-11. For Tommy Hutton, this is Kenny Albert saying so long from Wrigley Field in Chicago. Coming up after these messages, the conclusion of the Texas Rangers and the Minnesota Twins.
I'm on the stick right now. All right. I'm here. My radio wasn't working. I was on the producer's channel, though. You want him on a headset? He's by himself.
Jones' 3rd straight save.
Let me get this in here,
Okay. Hey, Dontrell, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay, thanks for joining us. We'll make
No
this
problem.
quick for you.
No problem.
Hey, nice going, D.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
You have to turn it down. Okay. Okay. Yeah.